Hello, I'm Edward Salt. Welcome to Friday South Today. Coming up before 7 o'clock, as the peak time for animal road accidents approaches, we meet the volunteers who have to deal with the aftermath. Also tonight,
the recommended amount of space with the highway code is this, it's 1.5 meters.
Undercover officer, the cycling crackdown on drivers who don't keep their distance. Also,
we'll meet the Aylesbury gymnasts taking the gymnastics world by storm.
And the titanic effort to stop the doors being closed on a piece of our maritime history. There's been a road crash involving severe injuries, but when the police arrive, they don't summon an ambulance, they ring a humane animal dispatcher. They're the volunteers you've never heard of, experts called in to kill animals, mainly deer, after they're badly injured in road accidents. Hampshire police deal with around 3,000 incidents every year. Sean Killick has been to meet one of the county's team of 40 dispatchers. His report contains images some viewers may find upsetting.
Deer and drivers dicing with death. May is one of the 2 worst months for collisions, with many new deer being born at this time. Last year's young head off in search of fresh territories, crisscrossing the South's roads, often with terrible consequences. Tony Lowry is a gamekeeper by profession, but he's also on call 24/7 as a humane animal dispatcher. Hampshire Constabulary has around 40 volunteers like Tony, all trained, approved and licensed. The Force Control Room calls them out to incidents such as this on a country lane near Andover, where a deer has been struck by a car and left with both back legs badly broken.
We're almost last resort, if you like. If the animal is still on the side of the road and it's a wild animal and it can't move, its injuries are such that the kindest thing to do is actually put it down. I've come across them in the past and I think they're okay. I'll contact the local wildlife centre and they will come and sort it out. But mostly, if the animal's still on the roadside, it's unfortunately not mendable.
Up to 70,000 deer die in road accidents nationwide each year, and more than 400 drivers and passengers are injured too. This car struck a deer on the A343 near Newbury.
It went through the guy's windscreen on the passenger side and ended up in the back of the car. And you're talking about, probably 150 pound plus of animal hitting the windscreen at 50 miles an hour and going through. If there'd been anybody there, then been seriously injured or even at worst killed. And people do. There are fatalities where people hitting deer.
And it's not just roads. Tony says urban deer are an increasing problem, such as here in the town centre just outside Andover railway station.
That particular one was a muntjac deer, and unfortunately the train had severed both its back legs off, but the animal was still alive and still actually getting around.
How do you feel on occasions like that?
I just feel you're helping the animal. The kindest thing to actually do is dispatch it as quickly and humanely as possible.
Hampshire's Rural Policing Inspector is currently recording online training videos to keep dispatchers updated on legislation and police procedures.
The role they play is vital. They free up some of our other resources, for example our armed response vehicles. If we didn't have the volunteers, police would be going to having to deal with these situations. Our volunteers are experienced firearms holders. We provided them with training and they will also be supported by a police officer at the scene.
Motorists are being urged to heed warning signs in order to prevent danger to themselves and animals.
It's really distressing and people just have no idea. The best thing to do, should they come across it, is to maybe cover its head, keep the animal calm. Do not attempt to move it. And then phone 101. If it's a danger to other road users, then you must phone 999 and somebody will come out and deal with it.
That somebody could be Tony or any one of the dozens of other volunteers, ready night or day to humanely dispatch any suffering animal. Sean Killick, BBC South Today.
An undercover police officer on a pedal bike fitted with concealed cameras has been riding in amongst traffic on some of the South's busy roads. The mission to capture footage of drivers who pass by too close. Any that do are pulled over by officers on motorbikes and given the option of listening to a talk on road safety to avoid 3 points on their licence for dangerous driving. Alan Sinclair reports.
In recent days, this joint operation between Thames Valley and Hampshire Police has involved cycle routes in Basingstoke and Newbury. Today it's the busy Finchampstead Road outside Wokingham.
Quite often drivers think they have given enough space, but actually they haven't. So they haven't moved over to the opposite side of the carriageway in order to make that overtake. Our cyclist is fitted with a camera, both front and rear, and if anybody overtakes him too closely, then he will radio up to our police motorcyclist, who will then engage with the driver and ask them to come back here to the check site.
Once there, the footage of their close pass is reviewed. The drivers then given the choice: 3 points on their licence or a talking to by partners from the local council, who will refresh their knowledge of the rules of the road.
I think a lot of drivers don't mean to be inconsiderate. They're maybe just in a rush and they come past the cyclist, but they don't realise that sometimes they come this close and the cyclist's elbow is almost can be hit by the wing mirror, as well as making the cyclist wobble. So the recommended amount of space for the highway code is this. It's 1.5 meters.
Camera at the front and also a camera at the rear. I ride a couple 100 miles a week, so it's a fairly regular experience. All it takes is a cyclist to hit a pothole or get blown by a gust of wind, and if a car is overtaken too closely, then that cyclist could end up underneath that car.
More of us have been cycling since the start of the pandemic, but easing of lockdown means traffic levels are once again on the rise.
Most of the people, they are still trying to cycle, they're using their bikes, but we would obviously like to make it safer out there on the roads for them.
Many of our councils are investing in new cycle routes separated from traffic, but initiatives like this aim to give everyone confidence to share the roads. Alan Sinclair, BBC South Today.